Hello, this is SJ Talks in Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, please, and thank you. Um, I want to talk about single women that desire to be married. Um, they desire to be in a relationship, or they desire to be married. Kids or no kids. A lot of women that There's a lot of women that want to be married. A lot of single women that want to be married. Now, black women, they like to call them pick-me's, but I don't get caught up in all the name calling. I don't really like all this name calling when it comes to black women. I don't particularly care for all this name calling, you know, pick-me-sha and, black male worshiper. What are some of the other ones? Mammy. I don't like all this name calling that black women do amongst each other. It's not loving. It's not okay. And they have a term, it's called pick-me-sha, but I'm not going to use that. I don't care for that term. I don't care for it at all because it's name calling. It's like you're calling, and that term is targeted towards black women. But what does that term suggest? What does that term suggest? You're desperate because you want to be married, because you want to be in a relationship. You're a pick-me because it's like it's like putting women down that are single. You put women down that are single. You put women down for being single, but then you turn around and put women down for, it's like finding a reason, for any old reason to put women down. Well, anyway, I'm not okay. I'm not okay with women being called, black women being called names, and stuff like that. But it's just not okay. It's not loving. It's not okay. But there's lots of single women out here that want to be married. They desire to be married. They desire to be in a relationship. And the problem is, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be married. I know I did a video talking about how more women are starting to embrace singleness. I did a couple of videos about that. More women are starting to embrace singleness. Me, myself, I'm starting to embrace singleness more. And some people, women that desire to be married or desire to be in a relationship, may resent that. They may resent. It's more and more women that are coming forth and starting to realize, say, hey, I don't want to be married. I don't want any children. It's more and more women that are coming forth of all races and starting to embrace singleness because for various different reasons, like I said in my other video, reasons vary from woman to woman. Every woman is different, and every woman has her reasons for, desiring to remain single or whatever the situation is. But it's like I said, it's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to be married. It's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to be married. It's natural for people to want to be in a relationship. It's natural to want love and companionship. It's a natural thing. I don't want to dare give off the impression that, it is not okay for women to, it's like I'm embracing my singleness and everything like that, and talk about women that embrace the singleness and prefer to be single and all this kind of stuff. But I don't want to dare give off the impression that it's not okay for women to not want those things. It's perfectly fine for women to want to be married, to want, because it's human nature. It's human nature to want to be loved, and it's just human nature. It's human nature. It's human nature to want to be loved, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But the problem is, it becomes a problem when women get depressed. Women get depressed because they are not married, or they're not in a relationship. Women get depressed because they're still single, and stuff like that. And that's when it becomes an issue, and that's when it becomes a problem. There was a time when I really wanted to be married, and because I hated being a single mother. I really did. I'm going to keep it 100. I hated being a single mother. What I really wanted was more support. I had two sons with two fathers, but what I really wanted was more support from their fathers. I needed more support from their fathers. But I did want to be married as well. I was hoping that I would get married at one time or another. I was hoping I would want to get married, and my sons would have a great stepdad, and I would have a good husband, but it didn't happen. And that's, I'm okay with that. I'm come to terms with that, and I'm okay with that now. But there was a time where I wasn't okay with it. There was a time, I gotta be honest with y'all, I gotta keep it 100, there was a time when I wasn't okay with it. There was a time where I would get depressed and all that stuff because it didn't happen in the time frame that I thought it would happen. There was a time where I would get depressed, and it seemed like around the time when my birthday would come around, that's when I would really start pondering on it and stuff like that. But then it came a time when my birthday would come around and I wouldn't even think about it. That's when I knew that I was over it and I was past it, that phase. And I kind of wanted to get to this place. I kind of wanted to get to this place to where, I wasn't, being depressed and all that kind of stuff over not having because I'm really glad that I got to that place, but there was a time where I didn't think I was ever going to get to this place, but I'm glad that I have gotten to this place. But there's, like I say, it becomes a problem when women, that's all they focus on, and that's all they harp on, is being in a relationship and being in a marriage. And being married has a lot of challenges, particularly if you're a single mother and it's a blended family type situation. It's a lot of challenges come with being married. It's a lot of challenges that come with being married. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're single and you wanting to be married, you don't really realize all that stuff with relationship and marriage and all that entails. But I think that it's okay for women to want those things. There's nothing wrong with it. But when it gets to the point to where it totally consumes you, that's all you can think about is getting a man and getting married, or you're depressed and you're not happy, you're miserable because you don't have a husband. You look at other people being married and you say, see, but then you don't really know what's going on with that relationship. You don't know what's going on with that relationship. You don't know what's going on. They could be having a horrible relationship, but you don't know that because you're just looking at the fact that they're married and, stuff like that. So, I think that when I started to focus on other things when I started focusing on other areas of my life, like my relationship with God, and just getting myself right now, just trying to get myself together physically, and when I started focusing on other areas of my life and putting that focus on, taking the focus off of getting a mate, and focusing on other areas of my life, it makes a huge difference when a woman does that. It makes a huge difference when a woman does start focusing on other areas of her life, of your life. Do you work on you, work on you. Use that period of singleness to work on you. Do you need to draw a closer relationship with God? Do you need to get your money up? Get your bag up. Focus on you. Focus on getting yourself together, and making yourself the best person that you can be. So if you do meet that special someone, then you can come to this person. And maybe some women need to heal. Some women need to go through a healing process. Some women are still dealing with hurts from past relationships and things like that, and they need to go through a healing process. And maybe there's a reason why I call it seasons. We have different seasons in our lives, and now you're in your season of singleness. And you might be in your season of singleness for a reason. Maybe you're still dealing with past hurts. Maybe you still have some healing. I know I had lots of healing to do. I had lots of healing to do from past relationships and things like that. I had lots of healing to do. And so that healing is necessary, because you don't want to get into a marriage situation and not be totally healed. And that same goes for men too. It goes for men and women. You don't want to get into a marriage and not be completely healed from your past, or at least 90%. There's some things you're just never going to get over. At least get to a point to where you're 90%, and then be taking things out on your mate, taking things out on your partner because of something that happened in your past. That's not okay. It's never okay to bring baggage into a relationship, and it's certainly not going to be okay to bring it into a marriage. So you want to make sure that you're completely healed. Making sure that working on you, making sure that you're completely healed, or at least to 90%. Maybe it might be some things that might have happened in your life that you might never completely heal from, but at least get to a healthy place. I mean, let's just being realistic. Some things I'm still dealing with. I just realized that, I just really meditated and realized that the other day, that I wasn't being 100% forthcoming in some of my other videos where I was talking about singleness, women embracing singleness, because I realized the other day that, I had been hurt really bad from past relationships. And although I have come to a place of where my healing has come a long way, but there's a part of me that is this, I don't know if I want to put my heart out there again, because every time that I've ever been in love with someone, I've always been hurt. I was just really thinking about that the other day. And I said, sometimes we got to do some soul searching. We have to do soul searching and really dig deep inside. And that's when I realized that I said, every time when I would halfway have feelings for somebody, even if I wasn't totally 100% in love with this person, but just halfway having feelings for somebody, and this person hurted me, or they did something to disappoint me, or cheated, or whatever the situation is that. So, I associate love with hurt now. Now that's me. I associate love with hurt. So like I said, realistically, some things we may never get past. There are certain things that we might never get past, but we get to, and that's just keeping it 100 with you. I I associate love with pain. Because anytime I ever halfway had feelings for somebody, I was hurt in some type of way or disappointed. So, to tell you the truth, I'm a little apprehensive of, especially going as far as getting into a marriage situation, and knowing how sometimes people change on you, and you know that one way when you marry them and then they flip the script. I've had that happen too. So men always talking about we need to choose better, but then you a person is one way when you hook up with them, and sometimes that's the case for women. And then on down the road, they flip the script on you, and wait a minute, you wouldn't, people put on their best selves when you first hook up with them, and then that's the worst thing in the world is, a person a certain way before you marry them, and then when you marry them, they flip the script and turn into a completely different person. And so, yeah, and so there's some things that, and sometimes some women have went through certain traumas and things like that. And that's some things that might be something that might never completely get over. But if you could get to a healthy place to whereas if you did get into a marriage, you're not taking those things out on your mate, then that's good. But take that time at that period, that season. I call it season because in our life we have seasons. I call that season your season of singleness. God knows us better than we know ourselves. And if you're single, I always used to say, well, if I'm single, maybe there's a reason for it. I used to say that all the time. If I'm single, it must be a reason. God knows us better than we know ourselves. So if you're in your season of singleness, take that time to work on you, ladies. Take that time to work on you. And if it's in the cards for you to get married, or if it's, if it's meant for you to get married, you will be married. If it's not, then get to a point to where you will be okay with that. That's a process. That is a process. It was a process for me. It took a long time for me to get to a place to where I was okay with being single and actually learning to embrace singleness. But if you get to the place to where you're actually okay with being single, and just do you and live your life and this have the best life that you possibly can do. If you can afford to do some traveling, do some traveling. Get your paper up. Get your money up. I want to get my money up. I want to get my paper up. I want to do some traveling. So I'm going to focus on those things. I'm going to focus on those things. I'm going to focus on doing those things. I'm going to focus on getting my money up. I'm going to focus on doing some traveling. Those are the goals that I have in my mind. Lord willing, I say Lord willing because tomorrow's not promised. Getting my money up. Doing some traveling. So those are the things that I'm going to focus on, and I'm not going to be concerning myself with, because, I'm in my mid-50s, and realistically, men my age or older, they checking for somebody younger. That's just being realistic. It's a little, I'm going to do a video talking about women and dating over 50. It because as us women get older, it becomes a little bit more difficult, because men around our age, they checking for somebody younger, and you do you. I ask me if I care, but and at this stage in my life, I used to like older men, but at this stage in my life, I'm not finna go too old. At this stage in my life, I'm not. I used to love older men, and so but at this stage in my life, I'm not checking for no man that's 15 and 20 years older than me. I ain't checking for that, you know. I'm not checking for that, you know. So, you know, I'm not checking for a man at all, really. But, you know, I'm open to do a little dating or whatever like that. But just get to a happy place, ladies. Get to a happy place. Don't let not having a mate, if you're going to be depressed over something else. But it shouldn't be because you don't have a mate. If you're single, it's probably a reason for it. If you're in your season of singleness, it's okay. We need to normalize making it okay for women to be single. You know? We need to normalize that. It's okay to be single. And it's okay to be happy and single. It's okay to be satisfied and single. It's okay to be to embrace singleness as a woman at any age. It doesn't matter what age it is. It is okay, ladies. Don't let society tell you that you have to be married and you have to be married at a certain age. And I was falling into that as well. And that is not true. You don't have to marry at all. Don't get caught up in societal norms and stuff like that. Don't get caught up in all that. Don't get caught up in all that, ladies. And cause you to go into a depression and all that. And it's not being a pick-me, you know, because it's only human nature to want love, to want to be loved. That's human nature. So I don't like that term, pick-me. But you don't want to be, I didn't want to make this video too long, but you don't want to be so focused on getting a mate that you're just willing to just settle for anything. That's what men look, certain types of men that ain't up to no good, that's what they look for. You don't want to get to the point to where it's starting to interfere with your judgment. When you're being patient and when you're content in your singleness, you can take your time. You can take the time to get to know guys. You're not putting yourself in a position to where you're going to just settle for certain things. And it's also a time for you to learn your worth. And that's through drawing a closer relationship with God. You're learning your worth, and you're not putting yourself in a position to where you're going to just settle for anything. And that's women of all ages, because sometimes older ladies, they get lonely, and then they start and then you hear these stories of these con artists, you know, taking them, beating them out of their money and stuff. It's sad. And so women should be content in their singleness at any age. It doesn't matter what the age is. And knowing that if you're in your season of singleness, it's okay. It's okay, and it's a reason for it. That time is for you. That time is to work on you. Okay, hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. How do you feel about if you're single woman at any age? What are your thoughts are? Do you desire to be married one day, or are you okay with not getting married, or whatever the situation is? Or have you ever been married? Whatever your lot in life, hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you got some healing to do, or you're leery of men now because of the things you went through in your past. Just let me know what your story is, ladies. Okay, hit me up in the comment section, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe and that notification bell, so every time I do a video, you'll be notified. And until the next video, you ladies be blessed.